going on, everybody? This is Dave from This Is Punk Promotions. I'm here with Wes from DEADWULF from Mt Gretna, Pennsylvania. How's it going, Wes?
How's it going, man? Good to see you.
Good. Likewise. Let's jump right into it. So when and how did you guys form?
So DEADWULF is kind of a loaded question. So my last band was From Under the Willow. We were kind of like in the metalcore scene and stuff. And that band started out, I don't even know member wise who it was, but I was kind of always just like continuously writing with different people, and that band evolved very strangely. But as everybody kind of stripped away and I was left to my own devices working on what was going to be the third album of From Under the Willow, I was working with Ricky Armelino for production for that band. And I think me and him had just gotten into a groove where we were just kind of doing things. And I really wanted the third album to be like different. I kind of wanted to like strip away everything that even I expected and just kind of like do whatever was working. But we were like so locked into a pattern that it was really hard to break it. And I think, right, wrong, or indifferent, I think me and him just found each other not on the same wavelength during that process. Like I literally have a whole third album for From Under the Willow that nobody's ever heard, just because it wasn't what I was trying to do. Like it's cool, I guess, but it wasn't what I was trying to do. So what I ended up doing was just kind of cutting ties with Ricky on that, and I literally, so right when that was all happening, I was on Instagram scrolling with my thumb, and Aaron Gillespie of Under Oath had made a post saying he was looking for bands to produce. So I shot him the one single from that album that I was working on, and I said, hey, pretty much have an album done. It's not where I wanted to go with it, but it has a lot of roots, you know what I mean? So I was just wondering if you wanted to step in and finish the production. And I sent him a 3-minute song, and 4 minutes later, he like sent me a message back. He's like, dude, I love your voice. I hate your music. So that started that process. And probably for 6 months, it was just me and Aaron talking about how to rework these songs. And we had booked a date for me to go out to New Mexico and do an album with him. Things got moved around with Under Oath, and they picked up like a big tour and whatnot. So plans changed, luckily, because had things gone smoothly, I might have actually tried to rework that actual album with him. But I don't know. I went through a bunch of life stuff. He was going through a bunch of stuff. And like, I got super frustrated one day, and I was just like, dude, reworking these songs is not working how I want to. And I like sent him a long message, with the thumbs, and he just called me. He's just like, what's the problem, bud? I'm like, dude, this is not working. He's just like, what do you do? Then don't do it. I'm like, it's not that simple. I've got like this time invested. I've got you invested, like blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, it is that simple. Just write a new album. And I was just like, oh, I like kind of just never thought of it, that I could just like start over. But yeah, long story short, he convinced me to just like strip away from everything that I was doing and everything that I thought I wanted to do. I then decided I was just kind of like lay From Under the Willow to rest. And I was just going to start fresh. So this new project started as like kind of being a rebrand of From Under the Willow, and it was supposed to be called Willow. But then that changed as well. I don't know. The music just kind of painted its own picture, and it was like nothing was really planned. It just kind of all flowed out, and DEADWULF came to be. But the name DEADWULF was, so there was a song. So mind you, this is all, that conversation was less than 3 months before Aaron was now coming to my house to record here in the studio. So we had plans to like get everything done on a schedule, and then all of a sudden we're just like, all right, we're going to start fresh. But yeah, DEADWULF was one of the thrown out songs. There was a line in it that says a lone wolf is a dead wolf. And I don't know, we we gravitated towards that. So that's DEADWULF. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you guys released an album, Too Far Gone, in 2020. How was the response?
Well, so that album dropped March 20th of 2020. That's like my OCD because it's 2023. There's 320s. Nobody else cares. But just so happens that so March 17th was the official US lockdown. So 3 days after the US lockdown, the whole world, changing its course. Really, really not an ideal time to start a business. We were kind of like hit or miss. We're like, oh, maybe this will be good because everybody's like stuck in their house. But we really had a lot of plans. I had tours pending. I had just a lot of like physical plans of stuff that was going to help this band kind of take off because it is brand new, starting from scratch. And all of that obviously got changed very quickly. So I don't know how it did. I'm trying to like get rid of expectations outside of just like feeling happy or I would say content after I write something. But I think coming from nothing literally and just starting fresh in that time, I can't really complain. I mean, I don't know. I had a good group of people reaching out saying they related to the music, and that's really all I could ask for. So
very cool. Who do you guys record it with, and how was the process?
So literally, so the writing process for DEADWULF was literally just me sitting in my bedroom. Sorry, there's a truck outside right now. I don't know if you can hear that. It was just me sitting in my bedroom being depressed. Like I stopped drinking alcohol and I quit nicotine cold turkey, like right when all of this stuff was happening. And so like that's probably where a lot of the depressive lyricism comes from in that album, because I just every morning I would wake up and write, because that was what Aaron had me do. Aaron's just like, look, you don't need to try and do anything. Just wake up every day and say, hey, I'm gonna write. I don't care if it's a riff, I don't care if it's a line, I don't care if it's anything, you know what I mean? Just write something. So yeah, I did that, and then Aaron actually flew here and lived in my house right up the road from the studio here. And we recorded the album here in my studio. And then, so we actually tracked that whole album, I think it was like 12 or 13 days, something like that, which 7 of those days I lost my voice from having hay fever. So it was like hectic and wild, but also kind of like smooth and painless. But we did 90% of everything here. And then Matt Squire did, he's the one that did the last Under Oath record. And like All Time Low, 303, Ariana Grande, like a slew of amazing artists. He just randomly allowed us to come and track the drums there for free. So I was not going to turn down that opportunity. So we did everything here and then went down there and did the live drums. But all
That's
in 15 days or less.
So you're from Mt Gretna, Manheim. How's the scene there? Do you have a favorite venue, a favorite local band?
I mean, I guess we're just generally grouped into the central PA, music scene. Lancaster was kind of always the home area, Chameleon Club was always kind of like my home venue. Rest in peace. But yeah, I mean, this whole area is really just a mecca for music in general. I mean, we kind of like when I was very, very young, we would pack 500 kids into the American Legion, which is like a 120 cap venue, we'd pack so many kids in there for August Burns Red shows and stuff like that back in the day. Like literally, like, so I grew up like August Burns Red right up the road. Matt Griner literally, I think he still mows my parents' lawn because he still works for like Buck's Lawn Care. And like Texas in July is right up the road, and This of the Apocalypse is right up the road. So like all that like metalcore stuff was around. And then we also have like an awesome jam band scene that's still, you know, alive with like the Stonewall Vessels, Medusa's Disco. There's just tons. Yeah, I don't know. There's so much music here. It really is like its own little, it's like its own little Hollywood. But I don't know. I mean, literally, there's tons. There was tons of bands that I was previous on a record label, and don't get me started on that. But the bands on that label, a lot of really great people. So yeah, I don't know. I think we've really been blessed around here, like what we've been surrounded with, and a lot of opportunities of people to look up to and experiences to look up to. So
I agree 100%.
Makes us all hungry. Yeah.
Very fortunate.
Yeah.
So who are your biggest influences?
Like musically, I'm assuming you're
Yes.
asking. That's kind of hard to say. I don't really listen to music anymore. I know that's probably kind of weird. I don't know. So probably a lot of like, for this band, a lot of my influence would have been like 2006, you know, post-hardcore and like the old Solid State bands, Tooth and Nail bands, stuff like Dead Poetic, stuff like Emery. You know, obviously Under Oath was like one of my big influences back in the day. But I don't know. I mean, for this band, I literally tried to make no influences. But I think what kind of came out was everything that affected me emotionally, which kind of all happened in my younger years. You know, that's like when music really like hit home for me. So I think that's probably like some of the sound that you get out of this album is that, because, and I think that's what really separates a lot of this music scene here in Lancaster is a lot of these bands grew up the way that I did, like heavily Christian influenced homes, maybe even Mennonite influenced homes. So bands like, you know, ABR, it's just like they weren't listening to Kiss, and they weren't listening to I don't even know bands.
Molly
like,
Crow and
yeah, like that.
Led
We weren't
Zeppelin.
listening to that. Yeah, like we weren't allowed. Like I wasn't allowed to listen to that stuff. You know, we were all Christian music. So like, it's like oddly enough, it's like who was ABR listening to? Oh, Stacey Orico, and like, you know, like weird like Christian artists. You know, that's all we had. So I think that's probably something that contributed to the strange sound of Lancaster County that some people have talked about. But I don't know. I mean, I think in like my preteen woes, like Under Oath, My Chemical Romance, Thursday, Taking Back Sunday, Dead Poetic, like Showbread. I don't know. Pretty much anything. I was much more musically eclectic back then. Now I like pretty much only listen to audiobooks and podcasts. So
some great bands right there.
The good ones, yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you some non-music questions. It's a good way for me to get to know you. I did this with the other bands I interviewed. Are you ready?
Cool, man. Shoot it.
First one, favorite food.
Oof. I'm really bad with favorites, man, because every day I wake up's different. Like right now, like me and my wife just found this new restaurant over in Lebanon called Pho Yummy, or Pho Yummy, sorry. So I'm like super into that. I'm super into like Thai food. I love cooking. You know, I like making a good pasta with a sauce from scratch. And I mean, dude, like eating is a hobby. So I love sweets and like cake and like, it's a problem. It's probably my new addiction, because like I'm fairly sober for the most part now, contrary to my past. So I think food has kind of become my addiction. But like, you learn to treat it right. So I don't know. Right now, I'm super into Thai and like sushi and like Japanese cuisine and all that kind of stuff. But I go through phases.
I feel you on that. If you could be fluent in another language instantly, what language?
I think Chinese, because there's so many really intricate variations of it. Or like, this sounds so white of me. Or like Japanese, like just those types of languages really just interest me because I think they're so vastly different from US language. Like I think Spanish would be really beneficial, living in America, because it is really, I don't know, I think it's the secondary language, if not almost the first in America right now. But I think learning Chinese is just cool. I don't know, that'd be cool.
I agree. Would you rather be able to move objects with your mind or teleport?
Isn't that the same thing?
No.
Because I'm an object that I'm moving with.
Oh,
No.
okay.
I would say teleport, because there's so much. There's like I have like a goal in my life, and like I love to like hike and travel and camp and stuff like that. Like my goal for the rest of my life is to stand in as many places that as little amount of people have stood in before. So I think teleporting to a certain extent, because like I would teleport to the base of a mountain, but I wouldn't want to teleport to the top of that mountain because I want to like climb that mountain. But I hate airports, so like take me to the base of the mountain.
If you could be any animal, what animal?
Oof. Well, probably an eagle. Honestly, I mean they're like majestic and like cool, and they fly. Like flying's super cool to me. But they're also like, I don't think people realize like how high up in the food chain an eagle really is. Like people just think, oh, it's a bird, but it's just like, yeah, this is a bird that like kills full size. Like eagles kill coyotes all day. You know what I mean? So like they're like silent but deadly. They're just cool, Eagle.
They are pretty sweet. Would you rather be, I'm a big Lord of the Rings guy. It's my favorite movie of all time. I'm a nerd, I'll admit it. Would you rather be an elf, Legolas, or a dwarf, Gimli?
Probably an elf. I think an elf is like more of who I strive to be. I think an elf's more like calculated and thought out, and a dwarf's like more a ground worker and aggressive. So probably an elf.
All right, last question. If you had $1 million, what charity would you donate the money to?
What charity would I donate the money to? So probably, do you know what breaking code silence is?
No.
Okay, so it's like a big movement right now, like with the TTI is the troubled teen industry and like child trafficking. So you probably see stuff like, of course, there's no noise here until we start this interview. So probably like ICU Survivor, I think is a nonprofit. Pretty much like did you like see the documentary with Paris Hilton talking about like the program that she went to?
No.
Okay, so Paris Hilton came out with a documentary. Dr. Phil's under like a huge investigation right now for sending kids to these like troubled teen ranches. So I'm like a survivor of one of those programs. I like attended one of those programs when I was younger against my will. So probably that, because that's what hits home to me. And I think coming from somebody that actually experienced that, they should not exist. There's no reason to put, I mean, I don't care how evil you think a child is, there's no reason to put a child through trafficking and abuse continuously. So that's probably it. ICU Survivor or a similar campaign to whatever's relevant right now in that. I probably should stay more up to date with that than I do. But cancel the trouble teen industry. That's where I'd put that $1 million.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah, man. There's a on the album, just to stay relevant with the band. There's a song called Hancock, and that's all about kind of getting sent away to the program that I went to in Hancock, New York. So, but I'm sure there's tons of other songs that reference my mentality that arose from that. But that's kind of like the one that loops back into the program scene. So, yeah.
Very cool. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and chatting up a little bit. I really appreciate you supporting me and This Is Punk Promotions.
Yeah, awesome, man. I'm stoked at what you're doing. I think it's hard out there, so it's great to have anybody interested in anything that I do, and it's great to have a mutual connection through music. So, and also we're super close, so like we'll have to like meet up in Gretna, go hiking in the ferns someday here soon. So
Absolutely. I'm just a message away.
Yep. Hell yeah, man.
We'll talk soon. Have a great day.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Yeah, check out deadwolf.co. That's our website. I don't think we have any merch right now, but we got more merch coming. So deadwolf.co.
Sweet. See ya.